Both Michael Moore and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez endorsed Bernie Sanders at his rally in Queens, New York a few days ago. So here's AOC in her own words why she's endorsing him. You're going to see a little clip from the event when she said something I think is really important, and then you're also going to see the video that she released on Twitter explaining why she endorsed Bernie.
In this new historic freshman congressional class, an overwhelming amount of them now reject corporate PAC money. That's thanks to Bernie. It's not just about standing up and saying these things, but behind closed doors, your arm is twisted, the vice pressure of political pressure gets put on you, and every trick in the book, psychological and otherwise, is used to get us to abandon the working class. And it has been in that experience over the last 9 months that I have grown to appreciate the enormous, consistent, and non-stop advocacy of Senator Bernie Sanders.
This is not just about running for president. This is about creating a mass movement of working class people. The first time I ever heard about Bernie Sanders was when I was a waitress in a Greasy Spoon diner type of restaurant in downtown Manhattan. And I had been working 12-hour days. I didn't have health insurance. I was being paid less than a living wage. And I didn't think that I deserved any of those things. I thought that that's just how life was. The only reason that I thought running for office was even possible for me was because of his example, because he proved that you could run for office and not take big money. And you could run a grassroots campaign. And now that I'm on the other side in the halls of Congress, it astounds me that he has been able to withstand the intense amount of pressure there is here to conform, to stay quiet, and to compromise the lives of working people so that we can accommodate corporations and not the other way around. And when he talks about a political revolution, and when he talks about not me, us, those aren't slogans. This is not about me. This is not about Senator Sanders. This is about what we have to accomplish together. This is not about saying everyone should have health care with some asterisks or that your student loan debt should be forgiven under certain conditions. This is about unconditional, universal, guaranteed, advanced standard of living in the United States of America. No ifs, no ands, no buts. No matter who you are, where you come from, what you're born into, we should have a society that guarantees 21st century economic human rights, that introduces democracy to the workplace, where people feel protected and safe at work, where they feel honored and dignified at home, and that every person has actual power in the United States of America. We need to have a revolution of working class people, and it needs to be multiracial, multigendered, multigenerational. Our future is not going to get better unless we demand it and unless we work for it. And when you talk to Bernie, he doesn't talk about making a movement so that he can get elected. He talks about his campaign as part of a mass movement in America. And that's the kind of leadership that I think we need right now.
How awesome is that? I mean, it's really great. So the telling part is how she says, hey, listen, behind the scenes, you guys have no idea. No idea. They will try every single sleazy trick imaginable to try to get you to fall in line. You know, the idea is, hey, once you win an election, okay, now it's time to get serious. I know you may have been out there on the campaign trail saying, you know, we can improve people's lives by doing like basic policies that are really intelligent, but that doesn't play here. You might want to drop that right now. That's not gonna happen. And so look at how they've tried to kowtow AOC and the other Justice Democrats. Look at what they've done to Ilhan Omar. She calls out the influence of big money lobbyists. She's immediately accused of being an anti-Semite. How many times has Nancy Pelosi, the leader of the Democrats, given an interview and scoffed at AOC's popularity? And said, like, no, this isn't a model moving forward. The district was, this was going to happen. The demographics of the district made this happen. And every way imaginable trying to undermine her. Every way imaginable trying to downplay her. What's awesome about this video is that she's letting you know in no uncertain terms, I know that's what they're doing. Because a criticism I had, and many other people had, was, hey, listen, I know you're a nice person, and I know that now you feel like you got to go along to get along and whatnot, but I've always been on the team of embracing the fact that the left, the Democratic Party, is in a civil war. Yes, we're not going to win the civil war if we don't even acknowledge it's happening. We're not going to win the civil war if we don't acknowledge it's happening. So we all have to acknowledge there's a battle going on right now for the soul of the Democratic Party. And just be clear about who's on what side. And so I always get a little bit frustrated whenever there was like an article where she would say something deferential to Nancy Pelosi. I would always be like, oh no, does she not get it? Does she not understand it? But this is a clear sign. She absolutely gets it. Because think about it, guys. Bernie Sanders just had a heart attack not too long ago. There's not a single analyst in Washington, D.C. who would have told AOC, do this. Everyone would have been screaming from the top of their lungs, don't do it. Don't do it. They all think he's going to peter out and become irrelevant and, he'll be useless and you're going to tank your own political career by hitching your wagon to this guy. She doesn't care what they say because she cares about the issues. And so with Bernie Sanders leading on these issues, and I'm sorry, just being better on these issues than the other candidates, she realized, oh, this is a no-brainer. Now, there was reporting in Politico, and we spoke about it on the show. They had multiple conversations, AOC did, with Bernie's team. And Bernie's serious commitment to the Green New Deal, I think, was the thing that pushed her over the top. His commitment to the Green New Deal, she was just talking about workplace democracy there. That's worker-owned co-ops. Now you're flirting with a little bit of a post-capitalist philosophy when you talk about that. And Elizabeth Warren, even though she's solid, she's not in any way post-capitalist, not even a little bit. She's barely social democratic. I don't even think you could consider her social democratic. She's just an actual reform Democrat. She's a reform Democrat, I think, is the best way to talk about her. So Bernie has it on policy, and it was recognized. Now, we spoke about with Ilhan Omar. She cares deeply about foreign policy. Bernie's foreign policy is way above Elizabeth Warren. So Ilhan Omar endorsed Bernie as well. There's reports that Rashida Tlaib will do so as well in the near future, although she's denying it, but there's an event that they have together, Bernie Sanders and Rashida Tlaib. So, but either way, she knows the dynamic in D.C. She's aware of it. She knows they're trying to kowtow her. She knows they're trying to, talk her down. She knows they're trying to, kind of diminish her. And they try to make you abandon the working class by any means necessary. And her point is powerful. Her point is, here's this guy who's been here for decades. And as Nina Turner says, she used this word in her speech, she says he's unflinching in his support of regular people. Unflinching. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to think about it. There's a famous story from back in the day that we've told on this show before, but I think it's really interesting. There were two people in Washington, D.C., that the lobbyists don't even try to bother talking to. They don't even try because they know what the answer is going to be. The other one might surprise you a little bit, but the first one will not surprise you. One of them is Bernie Sanders. They don't even bother. They know he's going to say piss off. The other one is Ron Paul, believe it or not. Which, I mean, give him credit. We disagree with him on 50% of the issues strongly, but he is principled in his libertarian beliefs. Like, he actually has an ideology and a philosophy, and he's sticking by it. And so the lobbyists would skip right over him. The lobbyists would skip right over Social Democrat Bernie Sanders because they go, it doesn't matter. We can't get him to budge. He's not going to do our bidding. He's not going to do our bidding. What do you want me to do? He's got his ideas. He's going to fight for them. He wants Medicare for all. He wants the minimum wage to be a living wage. I mean, what are we going to do? There's nothing we could do. And she realizes the courage that takes. Because when you're in an environment, when everybody around you is doing something, I mean, that's everybody in D.C. around Bernie is like corrupt. And they look at him like he's weird for not being corrupt. But he stood his ground because he's principled. She recognizes that. How amazing is it? And this is what we've done with Justice Democrats, and this is what others are trying to do as well. How awesome is it that we've now cloned Bernie Sanders and we're actually sending him to Washington? Guys, that was the whole idea. As a co-founder of Justice Democrats, I could tell you, because I was in the room for the founding. I'm one of the founders. That's part of the idea is that. She also references oh my God, all these people now taking no corporate PAC money. Exactly. That was our biggest litmus test. You cannot take corporate PAC money because that is corrupting by definition. We won't let you be corrupted. It's that, and the other idea is get people like Bernie Sanders. That's what AOC is. That's what Ilhan Omar is. That's what Ro Khanna is, although he was already there, to be fair. Pramila Jayapal. There are differences around the edges, and I'll still criticize them when I think they're wrong, as I've done before, and I'll do again. I mean, it is what it is. We're all human beings. We disagree on some things, but the core of it is true. The core of it's the same. The core of it is they're uncorrupted and they actually care, and they're trying to fix the system. And this endorsement, I think, proves that in no uncertain terms. Shout out to Michael Moore as well for endorsing Bernie Sanders. Listen, somebody was asking me over the weekend, is this a turning point in the race? I don't know, and you don't know, and we can never say. We have to wait and see it unfold. But I will say that the fallout from this was really good because you had the debate. He did a solid performance at the debate. It's fair to say, he didn't go directly after Elizabeth Warren, so he could have done better. I think that's a fair point, but outside of that, incredibly solid performance in the debate. Everybody recognized that. Even in corporate media, they were saying he did really well. And then also, immediately after, that's when we got the news about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez endorsing Bernie Sanders. So that also kind of dominated the news cycle a little bit. And then, guys, mainstream media was forced to admit, and I've seen it in multiple articles now, they're forced to admit, yeah, maybe the whole Warren thing, like, no, Bernie still has the heart of the base, and Bernie is still the core of the base, and Bernie is still the movement candidate. They're admitting it. So it isn't even necessarily that the endorsements on their own matter that much, because I've always been in the camp of endorsements are not as important. They're degrees, but the real thing here that I think has more of an impact is the reverberating effect when all of the media is forced to then run with the narrative, which is the correct narrative. And that narrative is he's still the movement candidate. He's still the leader of the left. He's still the one that has all the support of the multiracial, working class background coalition. They're forced to write those stories. And then that has the effect where it echoes for the next couple of days. And that helps solidify the narrative. Listen, here's the thing that would never work. You can't have an indifferent media. You can't have an apathetic media that just doesn't cover you, because then you're guaranteed to lose. It's like the media, when they just pretend you don't exist, then you're going to lose. You're going to lose. What does work is either, if you get positive press that's based on something real, like this, that's based on something real, or you get negative press, but the arguments they use are just total trash. So Bernie's having a little bit of both of those things happen. There's a lot of negative press, which is total garbage, which everybody recognizes is garbage, which only helps him. And there's positive press, which is accurate, like with this endorsement, which helps him because it helps solidify the narrative. The only kind of press, like if they're indifferent, you're screwed. And if they're going after you and using good arguments when they go after you, you're screwed. But thankfully, Bernie's got the positive aspect of it. All arguments against him are terrible, so they help bolster him. And the positive stuff, like this AOC endorsement, does help solidify the narrative that we like. So I think it does help. I think it is a step in the right direction. I think that he's persevering through incredibly difficult odds, and he deserves massive credit for that, as does AOC, as does Ilhan Omar, as does Michael Moore, as is everybody who recognizes what this moment in history is. It's not time to sit on the sidelines. It's time to get involved. It's time to do everything you can to get a real agent of change elected. There's no milquetoast tweaks around the edges, no half measures, none of that stuff. It's let's get change to help people, full stop. And if you get in the way, I'm going to defeat you.